Hi friends, I'm excited to share a new layout with you today for the Shimmerz Paints design team. I'm using the April Color Kitz and I absolutely love all of the bright, beautiful colors in these patterned papers and the paints that I'm going to be using. So I started by pulling 3 of the patterned papers, a bright blue, a green, and a yellow, and all of them have patterns. 2 of them are flowers and the green one is stars. And those are from the April Color Kitz. And I cut circles out. So I wanted circles that kind of laid inside of each other. So I just created them in the Cricut design software. And the largest one is 10 inches. And then it goes down in size from there. And I just made circles that fit inside of each other and then sliced out the middles. So that's how I did that. And then I'm going to distress the edges of each of them and then I glued them down right inside of each other. So they're flat on the background. I did not lift them up on craft foam or anything. And then I'm going to have 3 photos that I'm going to be using. And these are from Easter of last year. And these are from Easter morning. So they're not church photos yet. These are just Easter morning when my kids woke up. So they're Easter baskets. And then both of my kids in the picture, it's kind of hard to tell probably from here, but both of them are wearing bunny ears. So it's definitely a bunny layout. And this patterned paper, I love this patterned paper. I'm going to have to use it on the next layout and make sure that you can read the words, but it says hippity hop over and over again, that orange paper. It's super cute. So the kit this month is full of bright colors. It's like made for me. I absolutely love it. Everything about it. So I distressed the edges. I took those 3 photos, matted them on white, just plain white cardstock. And then I matted them again on that orange patterned paper and distressed the edges. And then I'm going to pop the whole thing up on craft foam in a second. What I'm doing right now is tracing around it in pencil so that I know where my photos are going to go. And I'm going to add some mixed media to the background. So I'm going to start with gesso, and that's just white gesso. And it is I'm only adding it in the areas that I want the paint to go. I do not want to white out or fade out any of the patterns on the pattern paper in the areas where you're going to see it. So I'm just adding it where I know the paint is going to go. So I'm just adding it with my finger. If I had done a brayer tool or something like that, it would get in areas where I don't want it to go. So by using my finger, I'm able to control where that white gesso goes. And that's perfect. And I'm going to set it off to dry for just a few minutes. Gesso dries really, really fast. So, and especially when you put it on really thin like I did. But I did want it to be good and dry so that my paper doesn't wrinkle or tear or anything. So I'm going to let it dry for a minute. And then I pulled all of the beautiful flowers out of the April Color Kitz. There's ephemera that came with the kit, and it is absolutely beautiful. Lots and lots of flowers, which if you know me, you know flowers are my thing. That's my superpower. I love flowers. So I cut all of the white borders off of those flowers, and now I'm going to add color to the background. So this first color that I'm adding is a Shimmerz, and it is called Pip 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 Cheerio, and it is super bright pink, like a very vivid, deep, bright pink. And it might be my new favorite pink. I absolutely love this color. Like, absolutely love it. It's almost like a fuchsia, I don't know, but when it dries, well, of course, because it's a Shimmerz, it's going to dry super shiny and shimmery. Like you can almost see little pieces of glitter, and it is so gorgeous. And then the next color I'm adding right here, which is also a beautiful deep color, it's a colorings, and it is Born to be Blue. So it's a spray, and in theory you would spray it on, but because I wanted it very controlled. I know exactly where I want it to go on this background. You can see kind of where I'm headed with this. I did not want the color to spread or to spray in areas where I didn't want it. So I opened up the lid and used a paintbrush to add it on. And in that way I was able to control where the color went. Okay. And then another one of my new favorite colors is Shimmerz Orange Sherbet. So I don't think I've ever used this color. Like I would have a whole bunch of little pots of this color if I if I knew it had existed. So I absolutely love this color. It is a beautiful, beautiful orange, and it almost dries like it might lean a little bit coral. I don't know, or it might just be because it kind of mixed with the pink on my layout, but a tiny bit. But it is a beautiful orange. That is one that I would highly recommend. And then the yellow that I'm adding is a Vibes, and it is called Mustard Seed. So the colorings the blue colorings that I added, that's going to be a flat color. So it does not have a lot of shimmer in it, or any shimmer in it, I don't think. And then the Vibes definitely does have the shimmer. So when it dries very sparkly. And again, the Vibes is a spray that you would, in theory, spray on. But of course, because I'm controlling that color, I used a paintbrush. So I just opened the lid and dipped my paintbrush in. Make sure your paintbrush is nice and clean if you're going to dip into your paints. But that is such a beautiful color. And then I went ahead and added craft foam behind my photos and adhered those on. And you did see, I think you saw, with a paper towel, I did dry up a little bit of the extra color, so that especially the bluish purplish color that's so beautiful, that Born to Be Blue color is a lot darker and more vivid. So I did use a paintbrush or a paper towel to dry up a little bit of the extra color there. And so now what I'm doing is I am using all of those flowers that I fussy cut the white border off of, and I'm going to create some clusters. So the green flowers were not in the kit. I used just a piece of green cardstock from my stash that's the exact color of the green pattern, that green star pattern paper. So I used my metal dies. I have a whole bunch of different metal dies, leaf metal dies. So I just cut a whole bunch of different ones so that I could add those into my clusters. And I will tell you, when you vary the different types of leaves that you have in a floral cluster like this, especially where I'm using lots of different colors of flowers, and the flowers that are in the kits are all different, like types of flowers. There's, they look like all different kinds of flowers. They look like a beautiful spring bouquet. So definitely, if those different types of flowers were growing in nature, all of their leaves would look different. So when I do my floral clusters, I always want to kind of mimic what I would see in my garden. So I have all different types of leaves in there. Some that are like little sprigs that have all different kinds of textures on them, and then others that are just plain simple leaves. So like in a typical leaf shape. So I've got all of those stuck in there, and I do put them, kind of mix them into the cluster. I have them in the middle, and then going in all different directions around. And that's another thing you always hear me say if you watch my videos: make sure your leaves go different directions. You don't want to build a floral cluster and have all your leaves, pointing straight up or something, because that would look bizarre. So make sure that you have them going all different directions, just like you would see in a floral bouquet. And then I am adding some tangled thread. The color that I'm adding right now is yellow. So it's just a yellow sewing thread, and I take it and made it into like little circles, and then I pull it apart so that it looks kind of messy, and added it behind the floral cluster. And I add up in that top floral cluster, I added 3 different areas of tangled thread. So pink, orange, and yellow. And then those little white flowers that I'm adding that are so beautiful, those are from the bonus bundles, the sequin set. So the sequin set, I know I say this a lot, but I think this one is my most favorite that has come out. So it had those little white, very textured and chunky white flowers that have great texture. And then it also has little clay pieces that are in all different colors, and then sequins in all different colors. So it is a fabulous little sequin set, and that's the April bonus bundle. And then that also comes with the Inklings Giddy About Green. So when you buy the bonus bundle, you get a paint and the sequin set. So definitely, I would highly recommend that, especially for April. I would recommend it every month, but especially for April, because it is fabulous. And then I started on my floral cluster down below. And for this floral cluster, I remembered to add the tangled thread before I added all the flowers. So sometimes I go back and add the tangled thread after, and I have to kind of pull stuff up and tuck it in behind. And then when I'm on my A game, I remember to add it before I add all of the flowers and leaves. And then it kind of pokes out from behind, which I prefer. So I'm going to build a cluster, same type of cluster down on the bottom right. And I tried to make it equal in, you know, the width that it goes around the circle, like that circle, background circle. So I'm trying to create balance to make sure my clusters look balanced on both sides of the layout. And then you can see I do have a couple of the flowers slightly overlap the photos, but they do not cover anything that's important, like super important in the photo. So like the photo on the right, on the bottom right, where I have that pink flower, it overlaps the photo just a touch. It's just wood floor in the photo that it's overlapping. There's nothing that it's covering up. So you can still see my daughter's Easter basket that says Ruby across the front, and then yeah. And then in the photo on the left, same thing. It's just covering up like white cabinetry. So that was kind of in the background of the photo. And then my photo that has my kids in it in the middle has nothing covering it up because I want those to be their little faces to be front and center. All right. And I'm getting everything tucked in, making sure everything looks how I want it to look. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going back and adding all of those beautiful things from the sequin set. And I absolutely love those. Love them. Everything about them. Okay. And then I pulled for the title, I pulled from my stash. So I just pulled some very small alphas. And then the word bunny on my title is going to be a little bit larger. So I just pulled letters that had the same colors as the paints and the flowers and the pattern papers. And my title is going to say, at the top, it's going to say a very bunny day. And then down below the photos, it's going to say Easter 2024. So I kind of tried to create balance there with my photos. I mean, with my title too. So up above to the top right of the photos, and then down below, bottom left. And I love to mix and match alphas for titles. I really like to make sure that there's at least one cursive word mixed in there, but I didn't have any cursive letters or words that I thought worked in this one. So they're all just print, but I did vary by using a different font for the word bunny. So it definitely is mixed and matched. And then, of course, the small letters are all different colors. So I just made sure the colors had balance. So a very bunny day. And I thought that was a good title for this layout since the pictures all are either the things that the Easter bunny left or pictures of a picture of my kids with bunny ears. So I thought that was cute. I think one of my friends, I made this layout when I had my scrapbook girls here, and I think one of them helped me with that title. So one of our favorite things to do when we scrapbook together is to help each other come up with titles. And we always suggest really corny titles, and usually ones that we know that they're not going to use just to, lighten the mood. And, it's always super silly, the things that we come up with. But this one was actually a good one, a very bunny day. I thought that was a cute, clever little title that someone came up with. And then the last thing that I'm going to add is pops of color. And of course, you can see the colors that I chose. I pulled those, trying to match the paints that I have on the background. And then, of course, the patterned papers. So I just went through and added little dots of color, some on the flowers. And I do think that very much helps spruce up when you're using paper flowers, if you can add some sequins to the middles of your flowers and then also some pops of color, because it gives them texture and depth to something that would otherwise be very flat. And then also, of course, make sure that you curl up your petals, which I've said 100 times. So surely you know that about me, that I always do that. So there is my final layout. And you can see those clusters of flowers. I absolutely love everything about the color kits this month. If you want to place a Shimmerz order, remember to put my name, Sarah Millerhouse, in the comment section on your order as you're placing it, and you will get a free paint, which is always a fun thing to get an extra bonus. So be sure and do that. And then if you have any questions, pop them down in the comments and I would be happy to answer them. I hope you have a beautiful day and find some time to create. Bye.